Hello everyone and welcome back to my new video. Astros fans are more worried than ever about losing star shortstop Carlos Correa. But a recent rumor doesn't mean they're out of the running just yet. Correa was reportedly shopping some game-used Astros gear of late, making it seem like he's on his way out of Houston. At the very least, his timing was curious. It wasn't any secret that Carlos Correa was looking to score big in free agency, and the shortstop set a very high asking price prior to the lockout. But the far more likely scenario is that Correa and his family are merely bored during the lockout, or simply selling his game-used gear for other means. As a professional athlete, that's well within his right. According to MLB Network's Jon Heyman, Correa was asking for at least a $330 contract, with an overall range of $330 to $350. It is unclear whether or not this pause in the baseball offseason could impact Correa's demands, or if his position atop the free agent market will keep him relatively immune to the lockout's effects on the market as a whole. Even though teams will have less time to negotiate prior to the start of the season, Correa was clearly targeting a pair of other recent mega deals for shortstops. The 10-year, $325 Pat Corey Seager signed with the Rangers just prior to the lockout, and the 10-year, $341 extension Francisco Lindor signed with the Mets last spring. Prior to the offseason, MLB trade rumors projected Correa to land 10 years and $320 as the winter's top free agent deal. Though with Seager already topping that price, it stands to reason that Correa would set his sights even higher, with Seager, Marcus Semien, and Javier Baez already landing new contracts within an extremely loaded free agent shortstop market. Correa and Trevor Story are the top shortstops remaining, and a great deal of speculation remains over whether either player will land. The uncertainty around Story mainly focuses on his comparatively average 2021 season and questions about his production away from Coors Field, while with Correa, the primary question may be which team is willing to step up and meet his contract demands. The Rangers and Tigers have already made their big shortstop signings, though Detroit is perhaps still a candidate if the Tigers look to pair up both Correa and Baez within the infield. Other teams like the Dodgers, Braves, Cubs, Red Sox, Astros, and Yankees had also been in touch with Correa before the lockout, and it is always possible that a new suitor or two could emerge amidst the transactional frenzy that is sure to ensue when the lockout ends. Depending on what happens in the new collective bargaining agreement, an altered set of financial rules could very well bring more teams into the mix for Correa's services. The Astros do have actual reasons to be worried about Correa's departure, in part because they have yet to make him a competitive offer he likes. To keep arguably the best overall shortstop in baseball, Houston owner Jim Crane must up his game significantly. Houston Astros, will Carlos Correa leave? The Astros gave Correa a 5-year, $160 million contract offer. While that's over $30 million per season, it's not what Correa has asked for. The 27-year-old wants a 10-year deal, or somewhere within that realm. Cutting the years in half isn't a good starting point. If the Astros were to up the length of said contract to 8 to 10 years, then perhaps Correa's camp would listen, especially at that AV. Corey Seager, who is of a similar age to Correa and the same position, signed a 10-year, $325 million deal with the Texas Rangers. Correa was considered the jewel of the shortstop market this offseason, so why would he take any less? The lockout could impact Correa's plans and perhaps entice him to take a shorter deal, but that has yet to be reported or suggested from his camp. For now, the Astros and Correa remain far removed from any real negotiation. That's the problem, not Correa's memorabilia sales. According to MLB Network's Jon Heyman, $330 million was the clear minimum Correa wanted in a contract offer. After enjoying one of his best seasons in 2021 and earning his second All-Star selection with the Houston Astros, Correa was considered one of the top available players when free agency began. The strong free agent class was especially stacked at middle and field as shortstops Corey Seager, Javier Baez, and Trevor Story and second baseman Marcus Semien joined Correa. While Correa and Story remain unsigned, Seager signed a 10-year, $325 million deal with the Texas Rangers. Semien joined Seager in Texas on a 7-year, $175 million contract, and Baez signed a 6-year, $140 million contract with the Detroit Tigers. Per Spotrac, since Correa and Seager are both 27 years old, it stands to reason they could end up with similar contracts. Both players are 2-time All-Stars and 1-time World Series winners, and each won Rookie of the Year. Correa has won a Gold Glove and Platinum Glove, while Seager won 2 Silver Slugger awards, a National League Championship Series MVP and a World Series MVP with the Los Angeles Dodgers. In 7 MLB seasons, Correa owns a .277 batting average with 133 home runs and 489 RBI. That compares favorably to Seager's .297 average, 104 homers and 364 RBI over 7 years. Correa is coming off a strong campaign that saw him hit .279 with a career-high 26 home runs and 104 runs scored, along with 92 RBI, for an Astros team that reached the World Series. On Tuesday, Correa announced that he has switched agents, severing ties with William Morris Endeavor and hiring Scott Boras. Boras is the best-known agent in baseball and has a penchant for landing massive deals for his clients, so Correa may be positioned well to reach the $330 million mark. The Tigers were considered a strong contender to sign Correa when free agency started, since Tigers manager A.J. Hinch was his manager in Houston, but they are likely off the table after signing Baez. A return to Houston could be in the cards, or a suitor like the Dodgers or New York Yankees could emerge. Carlos Correa hiring super agent Scott Boras made headlines earlier this week because it was a clear grab for the star shortstop to become the highest-paid shortstop in the game following Corey Seager's $325 million pact with the Texas Rangers. So how does this affect the Los Angeles Dodgers? Well, we learned before the lockout that they were among the teams to contact Correa, and then it was rumored La would be battling it out with the Astros once transactions were permitted again. Now with Boras in the fold, we can probably expect to see Correa eclipse Francisco Lindor's $341 million contract. We really don't know if the Dodgers were ever keen on giving out another $300 million deal because they tried to defer a good portion of the money in a reported offer to Seager. So it's clear there's some hesitation. Though Boras entering the fold has no doubt limited the number of suitors for Correa, it does have us wondering if one may come out of nowhere. Could the Washington Nationals make a run at the star slugger because of their relationship with Boras? Would the Nationals steal Carlos Correa from reported top suitors, such as the Dodgers? Though a lot of other teams also do, the Nationals have a long history of employing Boras clients: Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Anthony Rendon, Eric Fed, Seth Romero, and Keibert Ruiz. Additionally, Washington has just $112.5 million committed to 2022 and $94.50 committed to 2023. We know there's a mammoth extension for Soto on the way in the next few years, but with Patrick Corbin's money coming off the books after 2024, is it conceivable for the Nats to invest a combined $800 million in both Soto and Correa? With how the future of MLB is looking, it's not going to be uncommon to have two guys making $30+ million in the payroll. The Yankees are pretty much doing it with Jarrett Cole and Giancarlo Stanton for 2022, but Stanton's AAV escalates to $32 million from 2023 to 2025. When you realize the Nationals are likely going to want to contend sooner rather than later, and there are no shortstop prospects nearing their MLB debuts, there's an immediate need for possibly the most important position on the field. But they do have building blocks in Josiah Gray, Keibert Ruiz, Carter Kieboom, and possibly Luis Garcia and Lane Thomas. If they believe that young core can develop quickly, then bringing Correa on board to compete in what could be a weakened NL East is a bold idea. If you're willing to stomach the investment, we wouldn't count on it, but keep an eye on the Nationals post-lockout, because their moves last offseason and leading up to the trade deadline indicate they're up to something, and with a generational player like Soto on the roster, they don't have time to waste. This is all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like, and if you are new, then don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for the future updates. See you till the next video. Thank you for watching.